Hello, everyone. I am Nicole Gotzeleg. I work in content marketing here at UXCam, and I have been a fan of Ramli's for a couple of years now. So Ramli and I go way back, and I first heard about Ramli from his book Product-Led Onboarding, which actually people on our product team were reading at the time. And then we had him on as one of our special guest speakers at a conference in New York called Hot Sauce. And then Ramli and I worked together again on a podcast, and Ramli also came to Hotjar and did a webinar, and I have also been a fan from the background ever since. And so Ramli is one of the best when it comes to product, especially when it comes to onboarding, and mostly because he's been there. He's worked with hundreds of companies, and he knows your pain, he knows your agony, and we are so thrilled to have him today. So Ramli, welcome to UXCam. We meet again.
It's nice to have you here, Nicole. I'm excited to have you and the guests. We have a lot of people from different places like Ukraine, Nepal, San Diego, Amsterdam. It's cool. Cool to see.
I think next time we're going to have to get you into Berlin live,
Oh,
and you'll have to do an event here with us.
I will make that happen sometime next year.
So I know that you've just put out a book. I know you are a father to Zane. You're a husband to your awesome wife. You're running a company called Delight Path. And you've also just spent, I think it was 3 weeks going through 97 AI tools for product onboarding. I have to laugh because I didn't even know there was 97 tools to begin with.
It's probably a lot more, especially, AI is everywhere. It's AI powered. Like even current tools that we use, it's AI powered this, AI powered future. So it's everywhere.
So what made you even just go and just try and check out all these tools? Like, so why? Because if you've been doing product onboarding for years and years, why do we need to care about AI when it comes to product onboarding now?
I think there's a gold rush in AI, and AI is making it easier to create software, right? I'm in a course right now called AI prototyping. It's using Bolt and Lovable and Replit, all these tools that you can just say what you want to build. You can draw a rough sketch and it can build the software. And I think software is become commoditized. For the longest time, like you needed software engineers. You needed somebody to build out all of this stuff to actually see your vision live. And it's become to the point where you can just tell AI what you want, sketch it out, and it's there. And so I think the differentiating factor isn't which feature does a product have, because with AI, I'm sure it'll be all at some point. Your competitors can copy your feature really quickly now with this. I think the differentiating factor is going to be the user experience. And when I say user experience, is beyond like how the design here and the thing here, it not the colors. It's how you truly make a user feel, right? How you help them, guide them through an experience. Especially with AI, you can do anything, and there's like sky's the limit. Like think about ChatGPT. You can ask it to become your therapist. You can ask it to create a marathon training. You can ask it to create your code now. You can ask. It's like use cases is like 1,000. So it's overwhelming. And I just wanted to see how do you solve that like multi-use case problem that a lot of AI tools had. So I ended up signing up for a ton of AI tools that is AI native, like ChatGPT Lovable, and also ones that have AI added to them, like some of the project management tool or CRMs have added AI to it. I just wanted to see how they're thinking about AI there. So that's the reason why, out of curiosity and creating a swipe file and valuable content for me and also to the audience.
So you mentioned ChatGPT. What I noticed actually is ChatGPT wasn't on your like top list for product
Yeah.
onboarding.
Oh, wow. It was ranking it by category, and it had like ChatGPT. That's a power of having a strong brand, is you can have an experience that people will forgive. Think about like Shopify, where they had 21 questions for you to even get into the product,
Wow.
right? And they broke it up into 3 or 4 pages. And I'm like, people will get, but you're Shopify. They can get away with it. And so ChatGPT has a strong brand. If I recall the experience, they drop you right into the chat and they give you some blurbs in the bottom as to like what you can start with. I was comparing it to other, specifically to Claude. And the Claude experience was definitely much more human and more friendly, where it's like, hey, I'm Claude. I'm here to help you, and describes like what the privacy thing it has, and ask you where you want to start. Do you want to create something? Do you want to create content, or whatnot? Like, ask a little information about you, and so I think that's why I compared it to Claude, and Claude was definitely higher. At the lowest end, I think was Grok and DeepSeek, and I just remember,
Mm.
it wasn't a priority to them, and obviously Grok is a add-on to X or Twitter, and
Mhm.
so I think I ranked it within the category is why.
AI in any of their product onboarding right now? Maybe drop it in the comments here. I'm just curious. I've heard of DeepSeek as well. I heard about it when I was in Indonesia. Is it? I think it might be from China.
It is
DeepSeek.
from China, yes.
Yeah, but it's not something I've actually really heard much about here in Europe, actually, at all. So I'm curious if anyone's actually using DeepSeek.
Yeah, no, that's a
Yeah,
good
Claude
question.
UX is better yet too.
Oh, okay, Jonas, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be a hot take, right? Because
Mhm.
ChatGPT is more well known, right? More well known in terms of like the general public. I don't know why. Overwhelmingly, when I talk to product folks, they prefer Claude. Like some of the
Mm.
best Maven courses, Maven.com is like educational content. There's like live cohort there, and usually when I do small webinar there, I watch one and it's like they're using Claude. So even marketers seems like they're using it because it sounds more human. I'm not entirely sure, but
Sounds more human. I mean, you also talk about this, and we talk about this a lot too at UX Cam, where actually we have something coming out that will actually be able to go through session recordings. It's called Terra. So that's going to be our AI in-house product counterpart, really. And so Terra will find where your users are getting stuck and why. And if you are an enterprise or a massive company with, thousands and thousands of user sessions,
nice.
it's like finding a needle in a haystack, right? And so that's what Tara can come in and do. But
That's cool.
you bring this up a lot in your onboarding and in all your dialogues. We have these AI tools to help us do our jobs better, but we always need a human to come in and give a pulse check and be like, hey, this isn't right or this isn't right. So tell me how that still fits in with you right now in your day to day.
Yeah, I've recently actually let me give you an example I saw in threads of a guy, like some guy was like asking this AI support tool, like, hey, do you have, he's like trying to figure out if he wants to buy this software, and he asked, do you have this feature? And AI was like, yeah, we have it, it's coming up, it's in the pipeline. And then a human comes in, like a real human comes in. It's like, sorry, we actually don't. So I was like, oh shoot, like it still can hallucinate.
Mhm.
I think the
Yeah.
danger of front face, especially front customer facing AI tools, is that it can hallucinate. So you really have to have guardrails there. And sure, it can get better as you train it. Is
Mhm.
the danger of it? And I would say the reason for the human loop is like at the end of the day, feel strongly believe that we have to have the human decision maker and making
Mhm.
the final call in it. You can talk about implications of that, right? And you can talk about your own job, right? If your job's on the line and AI, like whatever tool you're using, I saw somebody say they use Lovable for their AI prototyping in the chat. If they're using Claude or ChatGPT to write an email, your the responsibility still is on us, on me releasing that to the thing, and so your job could be on line if you don't have that
Mhm.
ability as an employee, but also as a firm believer that there needs to be somebody who, the word I've heard is human in the loop to make sure that the output is what you expect it to be.
Yeah. And that's the thing with the human component that comes in. Even at UX Cam, we notice sometimes right now we're running sort of some A B testing on, hey, we're seeing new people coming in and then they're dropping off. So we've actually used AI to help us create some new video scripts and some new onboarding materials. But I still have to go in as a content person and actually review everything, check it, and make sure it actually sounds like a human. And we even chose to use a human voice for the voiceovers and not with an AI voice. So it's still about putting that human touch into it and using AI the tools that we have to, find the information that we need so that we can actually help our users, reach their goals and, help our company reach its goals as well.
Love that use case. I think that's one of great use case that how AI can like really help product people and designers use AI to like do better at the job is like you have a ton of data, like session, you were
Mhm.
talking about session replays or like any kind of data. And like digging through that can take like hours, even the customer feedback, and like bubbling up like recommendations. I say recommendation because now it's recommending to you as a designer or product person, and you get to decide, does this recommendation apply to me? It's like
Mhm.
a consultant telling you, hey, I recommend you do this and this and this. And then, okay, recommendation number 2 doesn't make sense for
Mhm.
my audience. And recommendation 1 is the right approach. So I really love how, yeah, what I'm hearing you guys are releasing, which is super cool.
So what we're releasing, and this is not a sales pitch to anyone who's listening right now, is more like about, okay, hey, even when I worked at Hotjar, we'd have to look at session recordings. We'd have to see where people were getting locked. And as a
And watching
writer,
those, like
yeah.
it's just like sitting there for hours, like finding that one insight or
Mhm.
nugget that can really make a difference.
Personally, I hated it. I have a
Same.
really low attention span. I find it totally boring. I don't care. I just wanna know why it's happening or what's
Right.
happening so that I can fix it, right? So I'm more of a
Yeah.
problem solver, and I think a lot of us in product
Right.
or marketing, we just wanna know, okay, we wanna know why it's happened. Then we can fix it. We don't wanna sit and I don't know. I don't think anyone wants to sit and watch session recordings all day.
Yeah. I want
Yeah.
to know where, like, where is the problem? Like, it could be like 30 minutes of recordings, and then like the last 2 minutes is the problem.
Mhm.
Like if I, like, 28 minutes of watching just to find that, I would be awesome if I can just spend 30 minutes to watch a bunch of problems. So things
Mhm.
breaking down.
But if you're like an e-commerce site with like, thousands of sessions, and it's like you cannot physically like watch them. Yeah. I'm curious, what did you find like some of the most common mistakes these tools were making? Because I know there are a bunch you're just like, oh, like you can't even use them for anything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really, I call this the, people call this the blank page problem. Like you come in and it's empty, right? It's like, what do I write? Like,
Mm.
give me a prompt, we'll build the code. And it's like, oh, okay, where do I start? Do I build like a accounting software? Do I try to do a calculator? Should I try this? I think that's the biggest challenge with any kind of onboarding for AI products is like it comes with that approach where if there's no data, then and the options are unlimited, literally unlimited. Like people can have some edge cases in those instances. Then I think the user becomes overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my goodness, where do I go from here?
Mhm.
And that's why I recommend typically a few personalization questions. The best ones I've seen has a few personalization questions before they get into right into the dashboard or the tool or the prompt, just so that it knows a little context about the user so that it can recommend. You said, Ramli, this is what called us. You said you're trying to achieve a goal about your product or whatever. Here's some suggested starting prompts that you can use. And so I think that kind of eliminates that, not eliminate, but it reduces the blank page problem. Is one approach I've seen. Let's say, I think it's Replit or Bolt. Well, they have a bunch of templates where like, here are what other people has created, which is like, I love that because it's like, it
Mm.
gets you like inspired about like, okay, somebody created this, let me do that. So I find that those kind of situations where the biggest problem for AI products is typically getting that hump over, like,
Mm.
what do I drop in there? Because
Mm.
with AI, the output is only as good as the input. So if you have a terrible prompt, you're gonna have a terrible result, right? And we know how, one of their earliest books is like "Don't Make Your Users Think." What is that? "Don't Make Me Think" by Steve Krug.
Mm.
It's a UX book that a classic, and it really is like if you have a blank prompt, most users will just spit out one word like "create a calculator." It's like, okay, like, well, what kind of calculator? So I think that's yeah, that's where I would go.
I love that, and I just see Becky says, "Love Replit." I've never even heard of Replit, so you can
Hey,
see me
Becky.
you can see me writing here, and same with is Bolt as well, so maybe after the end of the session, We can link to your post where you talk about all the tools you use, and I know you have a swipe file as well, so and I've seen it, but I didn't pay much attention to these names because now I need context, and someone also said context is key, so now that I needed
Mm,
context about why to look at it.
yeah,
That's why we
yeah,
have these types of conversations, right? Because we still need these human interactions, and I still need to know what people are using, and because we all want to stay relevant and everything is changing so fast, we can become irrelevant in like days, it feels like. Not really, but
yeah. I really like that. That's such a from Alexandra. Context is key. I
Mhm.
heard a really smart quote from an AI instructor who used to work at Riverside FM. Actually, now he does education. I'm forgetting his name, but he said that the limitation of AI right now is not intelligence, it's actually context. So
Mhm.
as it becomes so smart, like we're now at what GPT-5 and
I
cause at
know.
4.1, and it
Yeah.
has I heard this law recently from Sam Altman, the CEO of actually no, the director of science or scientist chief scientist officer Claude,
Mhm.
that every 6 months, like AI is going to get smarter and smarter to the point where it's super smart. And context is the thing that will differentiate how good the output is. Context around your company, around your users, what are they doing, around your market. And the smart great the best output is when you give it the best context. Like what is your product? What are the key features? Who are involved? Who's who's the CEO? How is your company structured? Who are your customers? If you can plug that into like an AI product, then it becomes smart in terms of like what it knows about you.
Marked like 4 clips right there while you were talking. They do that. I don't know if you like on Diary of the CEO, he talks about like the behind the scenes. I know you follow this as well, and so these nuggets that come in, you've got to mark the clips because that's really it. And sometimes I'm wondering like, what do I need to give it? And it's right. It's all context, right? So, okay. I know, see, we're already at 22 minutes. So I have to, whenever I get to see Romley, it's like, I feel like I'm just hanging out with one of my friends. So
It's good
if
to
any
hear.
of you actually on this call have met Romney in person, you'll know what I mean. So when you see him, I get excited. So, okay, 2 more from me, and then I promise we'll go to the audience. One thing I want to know is what patterns did you see in these tools that are actually helping users convert? So it's okay that we have all these tools, but I want to know what can actually make people keep going and stick with me.
Yeah, converting into a paid customer. Is that what? Yeah,
Correct.
paid
Correct.
customer.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it really is about understanding the limits and the limitation of the product. And what I mean by that is what is the key value metric. I haven't been in love with the idea of tokens, right? Because like, what is a token? It could
What
be a
is a
word, it
token?
could be a phrase,
Mhm.
and like I recently paid for Bolt, and it's like 10 million tokens. It's like, oh, that sounds like a lot. And then I was listening to the class that I took, and I was like, I went through 10 million. The guy was like, I went through 10 million tokens to refactor my code. I'm like, what the heck? It can be gone in a day. So, I yeah, I think but it makes it challenging, right? It makes it challenging. I think it's understanding where you put the bar, right, and really understanding that obviously the first step is getting them engaged, right? Getting
Mhm.
them into the product, getting them to start with a prompt or start using the AI feature that you have, and really showing them like a clear, my goodness, this is life changing. Like this is
Mhm.
magic, right? And whatever it is that you need to have strong prompts, you need to have strong context, because like without those, and then they won't see the true value of that. And once
Mhm.
they see that, then it's getting them to repeat it so that they like reach that limit, that 10 million tokens or
Mm.
that X number of usage, so that they finally like, oh, I need this for my life, right? I can give you an example of one where I actually use it quite a bit, and it is called Fathom Video, right? It's something where I use it to record my calls. I had a 30-day trial, and it's like every time I sign up for it, I'm on a call, it records it, I get next steps, I can even chat with it. So I have some like sales calls for my consulting, and I actually asked it to help me formulate my proposal for them. Super easy. 30 days coming up. It's like, shoot, I'm gonna lose all these features. What am I gonna do with my life? I tried signing up for like 20 or I say 10 different other sales recording, right? And it was it. Like I
Mm.
was already in there and it had my data. So I paid like it was $10 a month. Like it was not absolutely crazy. So I ended up tripping over because I was gonna lose features that I know I
Mm.
needed, that not needed, but it helps me be more productive without having to record everything. So that's an example where it was hiding the future or like limiting my usage that really made me trip over to buy it. I think is understanding what do my users value and then getting them to that point.
Yeah, and what is it that they value? And it's like, I know you work a lot with a jobs to be done approach. And that's something that's sort of been embedded in me for years now. It's like, what problem are we solving? How are we making this person's job or life easier? And this company just did that with you, right? So they took away, they saw what you really valued and how you, it was helping you, and you couldn't find anything else that was as good, right? So know your user. Actually, I always thought price was why people didn't keep going. Like I was so naive in this. I'm like, oh, it's just too expensive or people don't care or things like that. Like,
Yeah.
why do people actually not continue? What would you say is like the few top reasons?
Yeah, price, I would say just based on my this is the danger of conversion actually as a tracking of activation or onboarding is that in general AI products have been super cheap, like $10-$20 a month. We saw this when I was working at AppKeys, where previously, many years before I joined, the price point was low enough where people would actually pay for a month. And what we found was they were extending their trial, so that they paid for a month and they would cancel it. And like, why are they canceling? We found like, oh, they just needed more time, and $50 wasn't a lot, right?
Mhm.
$20 wasn't a lot. So I would say that that is like really, really important to know that conversion might not equal to activation or
Mhm.
to product adoption. And so that's something that I would watch out for. But in terms of why people don't convert, in general, it's because they don't see it valuable. Like it's at the core of it. People don't pay for something that they don't see themselves finding value unless it's part of the business model. And I joke it's like gym membership, right? Their business model is hoping that people in the new year would sign up and then they would forget it for the rest of the year and they would just keep paying so it's low enough, right? And that's why I admire companies like Buffer is like the social media
So
platform,
good.
and what they do is like they give them an email. It's like we notice you haven't used a product for a while. We're gonna put it on pause, which
So
is like,
good.
oh, that is so yeah, it's so good, right?
It's so
And
good.
so they're really tying value for value. They're tying user success
Mhm.
to company success, and that is at the core of product-led growth, in my opinion,
Mhm.
where your user success is your product success. I would say that is in my opinion, the reason why most people don't convert is they're not seeing value into the product.
The buffer example is the best. And I can think of actually a ClassPass or gym one
Oh,
that I
really?
have too. It's like they do the same thing. Yeah, we'll put your credits on hold, or something like that. And you're like, oh God, yeah, they like me. They care about me. I want to go back. It's all about, we all we're still people at the end of the day, and we all want to be seen, heard, and valued, right? So there we go. Wow. Okay, we're already at 30 minutes. See, when I sit with you, it feels like 5 minutes. And we've already got a lot of questions that have come in from our LinkedIn fans, people that actually couldn't attend live today because it is still summer. And I know some people are probably still working right now too. So if there's anyone here that has a question for Romley that is live, I'd love to take yours first before we get into the ones from the folks that can't make it today. So but while we're waiting for questions to roll in, I'm going to start with one, Romley. And this one is from, actually, I'm going to start with Lynn because she's here right now. Yeah, why not? So from Lynn in the Philippines, when there are too many data entry fields, instead of having them all on a single screen, you've advised to break them down into 2 to 3 screens with each screen containing only 3 to 4 fields. And in that, you can progressively increase the complexity. But doing so would increase the number of onboarding steps, which contradicts your other advice of reducing the number of onboarding steps to the bare minimum. In such cases, how would AI resolve something that
Oh,
might be contradictory? And if
that
this
is
is
good.
too long, it's a lot. Thanks, Lynn.
No, that's good. The whole twist in the end with the AI. I didn't see that
Mhm.
coming. I would say that that's what I recommend if those fields are absolutely mandatory for you to create that experience. I feel like a lot often when they ask forms, the questions in the forms or the sign up flow, it's often sales questions like, what are you switching from? Or
Mm.
maybe that's relevant because then they can recommend you how to transfer the data over or like, what's your phone number, right? So that our sales team can call you obviously, but often like if the questions have to be like, how can we personalize and create an
Mm.
experience for you that's catered towards your use case or jobs to be done. And I think if a question is asked not tied to the first experience, I would delay that. I would definitely delay that. Now comes the questions around AI, where AI, I've seen Jacob from Relay, that app, which is this AI agent tool. Like you can, based on the sign up, the email address, you can like, the agent can actually go to LinkedIn, get all that information, put it back to your database. And that sounds like something that tools can use, third party enrichment tools. But it's cool that vibe you can vibe code this with, like I saw somebody say they use level Replit and Bolt. And so I think that's where it could be interesting, where you're using AI to actually go out and enrich your user data so that you can personalize experience more to reduce the fields. I think that's how I would say it. If it's mandatory, add it there. If you can use AI to kind of gather the data, then I would also take that approach.
Thank you, Ramli. Thank you, Lynn. Okay, you ready for your next one? This one is from Gresham Grace Thomas. I'd love to hear thoughts on how teams reduce drop off in those first few sessions and how to strike the right balance between keeping onboarding simple but still highlighting the product's core value.
Yeah, it goes back to, you mentioned it. I'm a big fan of the jobs to be done concept, and like usually my approach, the best onboarding experiences I've seen kind of ask like, hey, why are you here? What are your goals? Kind of like bucket it into different options, give them like 3 to 4 options, and then kind of direct them as quickly as possible there. If your product has one use case, that's even better. Things like Fathom, where like it kind of walks you through that, and like giving them that clear, wonderful experience and test it out for themselves, like what the product
Mhm.
can actually do. If you can, the problem with a lot of the blank page problems is it requires them adding data to the AI tool. I really love Fathom's approach. I keep going back to that because what Fathom does is it's recording your calls, but like imagining joining a call with a client or a customer or a salesperson, and then it's just there. And like, what if it's awkward and it sucks? So during the onboarding process, they actually do something cool. They ask you to do a test call with yourself, and then they would join that, right? And so like one of the buttons is like start a test call with Fathom, which is like, oh, that is cool, right?
That's so
So
cool.
that's why it's like on the top there. Like, how do you get the user to test it for themselves or see the value if there's no data you can use? What Amplitude does, which is like have some dummy data available or like in product in a product tour, or not a product tour, but a product demo, an interactive product demo using like things like Novatic or something else that can really show the product's value without data and really get them like pumped and excited. I
Mhm.
actually call this the first day win, the same day win. How do you get users to do that same day win within a few
Mhm.
minutes? And it might not, I differentiates the same day win to the ultimate win, which is the activation moment, because a lot of products often require more setup features or setup to actually get that clear aha moment. It could be like live data from your users, like, I need to trust your
Mhm.
product before I show your product to my live users. So how do I get that same day win quickly?
The same day win. Okay, I'm going to mark that clip too. I can feel a post coming out of this one. So Sylvie, who's here live with us right now, asks you.
I'm a absolutely big fan of that. How do you get them invested into your product already before they actually get it? The classic example I can think of, I think they still do it if you go on Google or any kind of search engine and type Instagram template right now. One of the top results is Canva. And Canva, they make you pick they dropped you into a specialized page. You get to pick your template. You can start editing it. And then when you're about to download it and you're just click download, it's like, do you want to save your spot? Make sure you don't lose this data. Make sure to sign up. It's like, man, that is so good, right? Now it's like coming back to the value for the user about why would I sign up? Well, you should sign up, Nicole, because you might lose your data. You might lose this design. It's like, yeah, I did spend like maybe 30 minutes designing this. Why would I want to lose it? So I love that, typically love that approach. It does bring some technical issues. How do you identify the user? How do you from the backend point of view, like do you give it a temporary ID, things like that? But from the user's point of view, it's like, man, this is a great experience.
What is that in behavioral psychology and in conversion copywriting? It's like there's the threat of loss, really, I guess.
Yeah, the trace. So yeah, that is good.
Yeah, it's used in all different parts of the business. So that's really good. That's really cool, actually. I love it. And we've got more questions, Ramli. Okay, this one is from Tim Bartel. What are some common pitfalls and errors to avoid in onboarding flows, and how to engage people so they become active?
Yeah, common pitfalls. I already talked about the too many options, where do you start the blank page problem. I think I see this often in B2B, is like overwhelming them, right? Absolutely, like here is like this button here. Here's like, think about HubSpot, where you can create a landing page, you can set up a social post, you can send an email, you can like schedule LinkedIn posts. Like there's a lot, right? And my advice for that is, what is the same day, what is that first thing that they care about? And it goes back to the jobs to be done. Then the next is, what is the second thing that that person would care about? So if they said, hey, I'm trying to convert my free visitors into my newsletter or something like that. So what would they care about? Like, well, maybe it's setting up a landing page for an offer or something like that, like an ebook or something. Okay, so how do I drive traffic to that? So like you're like sequencing the problems. What's next? Well, how do I? Well, maybe you should write a social post or create call to actions to embed into your blog posts. Okay, so okay, that's cool. Now what's next? And maybe it's actually running ads to that. So like it is just sequencing the steps. That's what great coaches do. Like right now, I'm training for a half marathon in November, and like I have a sequence. Like today's week is week 6, right? So I have a sequence that I need to do, and I think that's the best approach I've seen, is like creating that sequence for the different types of users that you have would be.
I love that. And I just marked that clip as well, because it's always, you mentioned like training for a marathon. It's the same thing. Like we all need the steps, right? And it's always like, especially if you work in B2B, it's never just okay, same day buy, and it's always slow and steady. And it's always about, training for the marathon and not just the sprinting as well. So yeah, Sylvie says she had an app or a light going on. So she has already has an idea, and I already have an idea for something I'm working on too. So we're in the same boat, Sylvie. And I'm trying to this one is a long one. This one's from Becky Floyd.
Oh, Becky.
And so, who's in the process of redesigning her onboarding today. So perfect timing. Cool, Becky. So question, what can I do to keep them on the site while they are waiting for the content to come in? Basically, yeah, you can see that. You can read all that. Cool.
Yeah, I would. Actually, I have a call with her on Thursday, which is also Becky. Nice to see you here. Yeah, I would say there's a few approaches here. I mentioned a few already. Like, how do you get them engaged while the data's coming in? Few ways would be let's talk about two approaches. One approach is very technically intensive, and that's using dummy data. Create a space, showing some data that is sample data, making clear at the top that this is like sample data and they should upload something or set up something. This is what Amplitude does. Amplitude is Yeah, they have some data, and then they show the different options, and then that's the hardest way because it requires engineering, which
Mm.
often engineering is like they have a roadmap already. The other approach I take is like how do you show it to them and yet make it interactive? That's where interactive product demos can be interesting. So using tools like Navatic or something else. And I saw a company do this called remote.co where they're an HR software. So what is
Mhm.
an HR software without people? It's just blank. And like now they have to plug in all this HR information, this employees to actually see the value. And one of the things they did was actually show an interactive space where they can see the software remote, like
Mm.
with data, with employees in there, and what it would look like would be super interesting. That is the what I really would recommend. There's also obviously showing videos or GIFs to kind of like how do I show it and not just tell it? Like how do I
Mm.
like amplify the excitement when they like it's really that's a goal. It's like how do I get them excited so that they take the next step, which is to
Mm.
gather the data or to plug in their software or to send out that specific thing so that they are like, yeah, I'm pumped, I'm ready to go. Give me the like I know what I'm gonna see and I know what the value I'll see once it's in there.
That's really it, show, don't tell. And how do you get somebody emotionally or, how do you make somebody feel, psychologically safe and emotionally invested to be like, yeah, I trust and I'm going to keep going. And you have to show, can't just do lip service as well. So love it, Ramli. Okay. We've got time for one more question. Let's go with, got to look at my other screen here. Okay. We've got 3 from Drew, who's in Berlin. And I might send you some more later, Romley, because you've got lots of questions coming in. Besides the BJ Fogg model, which other behavioral psychology principles have you found most impactful for onboarding?
Yeah. They whoever shared that knows BJ Fogg is like my number one. Typically the number one thing that I would recommend. Framework wise, obviously the jobs we've done is quite up there. And if we're talking about AI, because we've been talking a lot about that, um, I go back to this principle around the principle of commitment and consistency, and that's the idea that start off with small steps first,
Mm.
right? And get them to a bigger, will lead to them committing to bigger uh, challenges or bigger commitments later. Great salespeople do this. They get you to say yes multiple times. They start off with asking yes with small things like, oh, hey, you know, and then they get all of a sudden near the end, like, okay, now will you sign this contract for $250,000? And they get you with small yeses that leads to that big
Mm.
yes. And I think that's that's the approach we need to think about. Like how do I sequence this so that the commitment gets easier and easier as they go along. Obviously,
Mhm.
there would be some situations like what Becky mentioned where there's a big yes up front, which is like
Mhm.
getting that data or connecting that thing. But if you can get them involved, getting them building, getting them creating, getting them to start designing or getting them to do something in that process so that when they get there, they're like, yes, I'm ready to do this would be like super, super valuable way to like get them hooked and get them excited to get to the next step.
Love it. There is a second part to the question, if you have time for.
Yeah, of course.
Have you encountered situations where you had to rethink these models when working with companies expanding to markets like Asia or Latin America?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have not had an experience where it was expanding to actually they're trying to expand into the US, which I understand it. There's definitely different, like cultural shifts, like if I can like I can't think of any right now where the only thing I can think of design wise is in Japan, their design language is different, right? Than when I say different, I am not an expert in this. But from what I recall, having more on the page would feel overwhelming to me, but to folks in Japan, it's like it's not what this might be what they're used to seeing. And so like I think that is a good question around making sure you have if you're expanding to a specific market, that knowing that the design culture there, what different colors mean. Are they reading from right to left or left to right? And kind of placing the most valuable things is going to be important. So
To everyone who's still with us, thank you for staying. And if you want to learn more about Romli and all the cool things he's doing, please follow him on LinkedIn, which I'm sure most of you are already. And his book, Eureka, which I'm halfway through, I can proudly say. And I'm learning a lot as a marketer, as a content person, because I work with product every day, actually. Eureka, you can get it on, all your favorite platforms, Amazon, local book. I don't think you can get it at local bookstores, Barnes and Noble, it's
Thank you.
awesome. It's got lots of great, especially there's a whole chapter on AI that I read as well too. So
Yeah.
yeah, really, really cool.
Hot sauce, right?
Hot sauce as well. And so
Yeah.
I just want to thank you today. And is there anything else you want to leave with the audience? Anything that they can find or any parting words?
Yeah, I saw some folks already add me on LinkedIn. Please do so. You might be, you have to click the drop down icon and just add as contact, and I'm happy to accept anybody who's here. Yeah, just let me know that it's from UX Scam.
Thank you, Sylvanus. Thank you, everyone. This was like, I don't know, just always feels like I'm just hanging out and just having fun. I can't believe that this is my job sometimes. So thank you all to
Thank
everyone.
you.
And thank you, Ramli, for helping us do our jobs better and make it easier for us.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Nicole.
thanks so much.
All
Take
right.
care. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.